period is being tracked. So I want to understand that. So how can I see that? So there is something called general accounting dashboard. So which gives the it's similar to the other dashboard wherein it will give you the immediate actionable item. So that is point number one. And second thing is that it will allow us to track the account whether it's going in a certain way, that is could be a positive or it could be a negative. So there are few options that we can take control in terms of checking the account analysis or the taking drill down of this particular account. Okay. Okay, so before that, so what are the key items that we have? So here if you see, so as I said, so this particular dashboard is meant for managers who will require or who will need the immediate actionable items. So here if you see, so we have a journal that is created, which means that we have the budgeting control enabled. So here if you see, so this is an issue, which means this particular journal is not posted yet, so which needs attention. So here if you see, so you will get this. And if there are any journals that is created but it's not probably posted or probably it's not went forward, so those accounting entries will be stored here, that is an incomplete. And then the other case that I was saying, that you will have a external application wherein you will get the journal entry, so that will be captured here if that particular journal entry went into error. So let's say my third party application or the core application has 3 segment, but whereas I have 6 segment, so I'll have the mapping. So let's say I added an account here in my application, but I did not communicate this information to my core application. So in turn the respective account is not created there. So when I'm receiving, so probably the information is not there. So I'll have the account as 0, or probably let's say the account is created there but the information has not reached to Oracle. So in this case I'll not have the valid accounts that is being sent by the core application team. Okay, so that will be stored as an interface data wherein it will have the error codes. So error codes are basically to mean what is this error and what action should I take to solve this particular error and import the journals into Oracle. Okay, so those information will be stored here. So these are quick actionable items. Okay, so all 3 tabs are related to journals. Okay, and then yeah, this is similar to period closure activity, so which we saw earlier. So it's nothing. So you have the journal that is being entered for a particular period. So let's say I wanted to open a new period, so probably I'll just go and open. So if I want to close a period, so the prerequisite is that your this thing, what you call the subledger period, should be closed. Okay, so if that is closed, so probably what you can do is that you can just click a period and you can open the next period, or probably let's say this is an past period, so you can close the period. Okay, so that's about the period closure. And this period closure completely depending on the role that is assigned to you. So here role meaning that I have role or access for this particular primary ledger called Bolton. If I have probably access for different ledger, so I'll have that option. So if I, let's say I have more than access to more than 4 or 5 ledgers, so I'll have the list here. But since I have access for only Bolton, so I'm having one ledger called Bolton primary ledger. Okay, so that's about the period closure. And then what we have is that intercompany transactions. Okay, so I was saying that we'll see the intercompany transactions in payables. I mean, we'll see both in payables and receivables. So before that, I'll just give a heads up what is intercompany transactions basically. Okay. So now, what is intercompany transaction, or how do we determine this is intercompany transaction? So when we set up our ledger, we saw something called chart of accounts. So in chart of accounts, we define balancing segment. So what is balancing segment? Balancing segment meaning whatever the segment I name as a balancing segment, it could be a project segment, or it could be a company segment, whatever the segment it could be. Okay, so now this segment should have both debit and credit in proportionate manner, which means my debit and credit should be always equal for this particular segment. Unless it is equal, so system is not going to allow me to basically post this entry. So it will say it is unbalanced entry, okay, or unbalanced journal. So in this case, what I should do or what I can do is that, so basically I can define the intercompany rules. So now what is intercompany rules and what is intracompany rule is that if I'm doing inside a particular legal entity. So visa what is legal entity and visa what is ledger. So now if I'm doing within the legal entity, so which means I'm doing intra-company transaction. Okay. So if I'm doing beyond my legal entity, let's say the ledger is one, but I have two different legal entities. So this value, balancing segment value that is attached to legal entity one is different from the legal entity two's value. Okay. So in this case, it will generate an intercompany accounts. So this is based on the balancing rule that we are defining while we are seeing the payable module. So we will see that. Okay, so based on that, system will generate it. So these informations are related to those intercompany transactions. Okay, okay. And then here, if you see, so you have something called account monitor. So account monitor is nothing but your account. If I want to track a particular account, so I can track it. So what I will do is that, so probably I'll create a new account group, and then we'll see how this particular account is being tracked. So so basically, account group is nothing but you are just creating a combination of accounts. So using this, let's say I want to track on daily basis, so I can track using this particular option called account group. Okay, so that's the basic functionality of this particular account group. So let me just create a account group. Okay, so here you can define whether you want to see the data based on accounting period or quarter or year. So so these are understandable, so I'm not explaining much. Okay, and then you have the access. So whether you want to have this data as a private, which means only Bolton user will be able to see this, or whether you want to have this as an public. So then you have something called shared. So what is the difference between public and shared is that, so shared is something that you're giving option or you're privileging to someone to use this particular account group or monitor this account group. But whereas public is something that anyone can view it. So let's say I have access to this ledger called Bolton Primary Ledger. So I can see the information. So even though it's not shared with me, so I can still see this particular transactions. So related to this account group. So that's the difference between your public and shared account group. Okay. So that's about the access, and then you have accounts. So now what is accounts? So accounts meaning that the combination that we are creating or the combination that we are using when we are creating an individual transaction or a single journal entry, we can say. Okay. So so first thing is that we'll select the ledger. So here the ledger is Bolton, and then let me select. So if you want to select an individual company, so you can select. So in this case, I'm just giving all company, all department. Okay. Okay, account. I'm not sure which account has the balance. So for now, I'm giving all accounts. But usually in real time, if you see, so you will not have a list or the LOV selected as all accounts. It will be a particular account. It could be in balance sheet account or it could be in profit and loss account. Okay. And then we have something called always display. Whether you want to see this particular information at any point in time you visit this particular page, or you want to see when the amount goes down beyond this particular limit, or so you have basically the information or the list of items. So probably you can explore this. So if you need any clarification, so probably you can take it up. So for now what I'm doing is that, so I'm just saying always display. Okay, so I'll just save this account group. Okay, so these are the two accounts that I have used. So as I was saying, so this is test environment. So I'm not sure which accounts has a balance. So I have just created this. I believe there are only two transactions that might be existing in this particular account. Okay. So here, if you see, so these are the companies that's selected. So here the company that is selected is only 001. So this is the only company that is selected, and this is for the period January. Okay, so now if I select period activity, so it will take me to the respective journal entry. So from there, if I have created this particular transaction using any of the subledger modules, let's say I have created this from payable module, so I'll have link to the payable module. But this particular transaction I did not create from payable module, which you can identify through the source. So here the source is manual and the category is adjustment, and this is the amount. But if you want to drill down to the journal entry, so you can do so. So you can just click the journal, and this journal will give you the breakdown for the 1,000 rupees, the debit that we have. So this is the breakdown for this particular transaction. Okay, so that's about the account book. Okay, so here we are seeing only for two accounts. The reason being, so we created transaction only for these two accounts. So probably if you have more transactions, so you will be able to see more transactions in this. Okay. So what I'll do is that, so probably let me switch over the period, and let's see if there are any transactions. Okay. Okay, I believe for November also there are no transactions, so that's the reason you see here. So the November period activity says it is 0. Okay. So that's what, if you have balance in your trial balance or the TV, so you'll be able to build up. So that's about it. Okay, and then you have something called account analysis. Okay, so probably if there is no data here, so probably you will not be seeing data here as well. But I'll explain you. So what is inquiry balance, and then probably you can have look at about it. Okay, so okay, so as I was saying, so there will not be any transaction. So okay, but this is how it will work, in a sense that you'll have the drill down at multiple stages. So based on that, you can basically analyze your account. So if there is any discrepancy, so let's say you have imported your trial balance, but you find some difference between the transaction that you imported in accounts payable and the trial balance that you have loaded, and if you would like to take an analysis of particular account, across the period. So probably you can take it across the period, meaning that I'm selecting the individual period. So I cannot give range of period in this case. Okay, so that's about it. So probably I can take yearly data or quarterly or probably the periodical basis. So that's about it. Okay. Yeah, and then we have something called inquire on detail. So this is again kind of an account analysis, we can say. So what I'll do is that, so I'll just run it for October, or let's say I run it for January. So Jan 2022 to, let's say, October. So I'm just selecting for all company. Okay, so these are the few transactions. Okay, so these are opening balance and the period activity. So when I have period activity is the month of September. Okay, so again the same thing. So if I want to drill down, so I can drill down and I can get it to the journal entry screen, and I can view the journal. So the same option but in different parameters. So that's about the drill down analysis and options that you have. Okay, and then you have something called translate balances. So now what is translate balance is that, so translate balance is something that if I have foreign currency transaction in my entity, so what I can do is that, so I can define this particular ledger as reporting ledger. So what is reporting ledger? So reporting ledger is something that I maintain my transactions in different currency or in different representation. So I'm doing my transaction or entering my transaction in INR, but I would like to report my transactions in USD. So what I will do is that, so I'll create a reporting ledger, and probably I'll run this particular process called translate general ledger account balances. So which will translate my balances to USD. So this can be reported to the uh, respective team. Okay, so that's about it. And then we have other option called revaluation. So revaluation, here at this point you will not be able to use it because here we can use it. The reason being is that, so we have payable module already configured in the system. Okay, so if I want to probably set it up, so I can set it up, but logically speaking, so revaluation you cannot use it when you have configured only general ledger module. The reason being is that, so revaluation meaning, so I have foreign currency transaction. So let's assume that I have 10 transactions. So I have created one on 1st December, 2nd December, and probably let's say 10th December I have created 4 transactions, and another 4 transaction I created on 18th December. So now I would like to understand the variation or the profit or loss to me by making this particular payment, or probably let's say I have not made the payment but I would like to understand the profit or loss. So what I will do is that I'll freeze the date. So on that particular date, what is the exchange rate? So there are two options that I can opt. So either I can say this is an average or on the particular date. So when I say average, so from 1st to 20th, so I'm going to take all the rates and I'm going to probably divide by 20, which will give me average rate. So I'm going to use this particular rate and I'll be deriving whether this is a profit or this is a loss. So how am I arriving all these factors? So using this option called revaluation. Okay, so I'll just select, let me search for Bolton. Okay, so I'll have to select, I think, update. Just give me a minute. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So I think we were here that revaluation part. So we will. So as I was saying, so we will see while we see this particular part called payable in foreign currency transactions. So we'll see how do we enter foreign currency invoices and how do we make the payments and these parts. So by then we will see so how to calculate or how to derive this revaluation. Okay, so by then you will understand. But to give a heads up, so the revaluation is something that to understand the gain or loss that I have either gained or lost particular amount in paying this particular foreign currency invoice. Okay, so we'll see when we see the payable module. So for now, I'll just sit down. Okay, so that's about it. So then we have something called journal approval. Okay, so we'll see this and then probably we can close for the day and then we can start AP from tomorrow. So meanwhile you can just practice and then let me know if you have any issue. Okay, so the navigation is something that is to financials, and under this we have general ledger. So I'll just say all tasks. Okay, so this will open BPM. So BPM is nothing but business process rule. So I'll just type journal, so which will give me the result for journal approval. There will be two things. So one is journal approval and the other is journal approval error. Okay, so I'll just click journal approval. So this should give me what you call the existing structure. So how it has been designed. So this we are not designing it. So this has been done by Oracle, which means the product company they themselves has designed it. So we are just utilizing the space that is given, meaning that we are configuring our own rules. Okay. So here, so how do you identify basically the rule is active or inactive? So here if you see, so if you see something in blue color, so whatever I'm pointing, so which means this particular rule is active. So here you can hover it and it will say it is disabled. Okay. Okay, so similarly you have the approval group. So similarly you have other options as well. So all are disabled. So if you drag to right, so you have this particular option. Okay, so if you see here, so this is enabled. Single type approval is enabled. So here you see an icon called diamond. So you will just click here and go to rule. So this will take you to the rule that is being defined in the system. Okay. So this rule we have just defined it. Okay. So probably what I'll do is that so I'll just say new, and so there are two options that you will see. So one is that decision table and the other one is that general rule. So the difference is that so decision table is something that if you would like to have a complex if condition, so you will go for decision table. Or if you want to give a simple rule, if this particular condition is matching, system should route it to this particular approval. Then you should apply this particular option. Okay. So here, so there are two options. So if and then this is a simple condition. So then you have the nested test. So nested is something that you have a condition inside condition. So it's not one condition inside condition. You will have multiple condition inside condition. Okay, so that is nested, and again negated also same. So simple and variable. So simple is something that you will give it this is more of a constant value, and variable is kind of a dynamic. Okay, so I'll go for simple. So now you will have the condition. Okay, so you will have different options. So you can say if this is matching or this is lesser than the value. So let's say I wanted to write a rule if this particular amount is, let's say, 1,000 rupees. So I wanted to give auto approve. So if this particular journal amount is more than, let's say, 1 lakh, so I would like to have this in supervisory level 1, and if has reached probably 1 million, so I would like to give this notification to CFO. So you will define such a way that this here what you will select is that you will select the debit amount. So you cannot say journal amount, because journal consists of two parts. One is debit and credit. So you will give either the debit amount or the credit amount. Okay. So you are giving the value here, and then you can say, okay. So you can say it's more than, and more than whatever the amount you would like to give. So you can give here. Yeah, so you have different options. You have use condition, you have more than, so less than. So the widely used option is or probably the less than or the more than condition. But you have other options as well. Okay. So I'm just selecting and condition. So okay. So what I'm saying is that, so if the journal category is adjustment. So I just say this is constant. So meaning that I'm not deriving a value from the database. So instead I'm giving my own value as a constant, because I know what is the value. Okay. So this is my first condition. So probably if I want to add more condition to it, so I can add more simple test to this particular rule. Okay. So I have given my first rule. So that is, if this category is matched, then what system should do. So there are multiple options. So I'll just drag to last option. So these are a bit technical, or I would say this is a bit complex, because if you see here, so you have a while. So while is again an addition, and then you will derive your approval. So that's when you will use it. And you have expression. So expression is something that it's greater or whatever the value that we selected above. Okay. And then you have advanced if, and then you have while. So there are multiple options. So I'm not going into these details. So what I'm doing is that, so I'm saying add approval. So what are the options that we have if I want to add approval? So simplest way I have is that adding as resource. So what I'll do is that, so I have my manager. So I don't need any complex rule to be defined. So all I want is that I want to route this to a manager. So I have manager above me. So I would like to intimate and get approval from the manager. So that's the only thing that I wanted. So in this case, what I'll do is that, so I'll say this is resource. Okay. So meaning I'm attaching manager directly. So I'm not going through a hierarchy. So even I'm not using the supervisory option. So supervisory is something that I have manager, and my manager has another manager. Okay, so that is something called supervisory. And resource is something that I'm attaching directly a person. So this person will receive the notification, and the person will basically approve that. Okay, so that's about it. And then we have something called position. So for having position, so position or the job level, so basically we will need the HRMS module or the HCM module. So that is where we'll define the position and job level, all those things. So wherein we'll create a human resource record. So this particular person will be created as employee, and the job and position, which means it could be a senior consultant or a consultant or a junior resource. So those information will be recorded. So on basis that, so we will route the approval. Okay, so that is about the job and the position. And then we have something called management chain. So management chain is again the sequential work that will do parallel approval and these things. And then we have the approval group. So we can define different groups. So we can say that, let's say, I would like to say approver. Let's say I have approved 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll create this as one group, and probably if I have another group, so I'll say approve 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I can have different groups. So that's about the approval group. Okay, so these are the different options that I have. So what I'll do is that, so instead of making this complex, so I'll just say this is build the list by resource. Okay, and then you can set it up the response. So whether you need response or you're just sending as an information. So if you're sending only information, you can select FYI. So in this case, I'm not selecting as information. Instead, I want this particular person to approve this uh, particular journal that I'm sending. Okay, so let me pick a resource probably, and then I'll attach it there. Okay, let me pick this particular user. Okay, so this is the user that I want to pick. Okay, so I don't want to give it as group, so I'll just say this is the user. So who will get the notification basically. Okay, so I'll just validate, and then I will save this record. Okay, so this is added. So the rule that we created is successfully created. Okay, so I believe I have enabled that ledger and this thing. So let's try to create this one called journal entry, and then let's see if that is routed to Hira for approval. Okay, so the condition that I gave is that, so I will give, or I will use the journal category as adjustment. So when I use adjustment, so this should route to an manager called Hira. So let me just take this. Um, okay. Okay, I think the period is not open. Let's open the period. Okay, I think once needs to be added. Okay, I think the funds needs to be added. So probably I'll explain you. So what are the steps that you need to do? So it's nothing. So after checking the funds, so probably if we don't have the fund check process, so what we will do is that so we will request for approval. So we will select this particular option, okay, and then this particular journal will be in saved status, okay. And if you log in into that particular manager, this thing, so you will have the notification here, something like this. Okay, I think I have cleared the notification. So here you will have the approval. So you'll have two buttons. So one is approve or reject it. So you can click that particular notification to view more details, or probably you can just approve it. Okay. So once it is approved, so this will be available for posting. So you can just select this option. So this is disabled because the fund check status is failed. Okay. So once this is posted, so the process flow tends there. Okay, so that's about the approval. So probably you can try, because since this is test environment, so I'll have to load it from start. So okay, so probably you can see, and if you stuck anywhere, so let me know. So we can share the screen and we can sort it out. Okay. So, any doubt or anything clarification that you need?
No, sir, I will do one step very quickly and then.
Okay. Yeah. So probably you can see like if you have created a structure and these things, so probably you can explore on the transaction sites also, and then you can let me know if you stuck somewhere. So probably we'll check that. Okay. Okay, fine. So probably we can close call for today because it's almost 10:40. So we'll connect tomorrow again. So okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.